Okay.
That's everything. I swear it's everything nowadays.
Yeah, that's the first guy.
Yeah. So I knew him a little bit when they were on contract.
They're both, from what I understand, they're both townships of directors.
Yeah.
May 3rd.
2 minutes.
You want to still be down there?
True. I'll take it.
Just look at the radiance around.
Should we just patch the torch to you too, or?
No.
Congratulations,
That was. That was it?
Would
Oh
you
my
rather have your
God.
large toenail plucked out with a little butter knife?
I'm trying to get the cameras open.
Mm.
All
Really
those
likes
stuff on,
that.
but it's been so damn cool.
Yeah.
There's anything on there.
Mhm. Yeah.
You know, we're a week
Likes
away
that
from the
fun.
campground
Oh,
opening.
Yeah. Is it really opening in a week?
Yeah, May 13th, next Friday.
Appreciate that. Roll call, please, Beth.
Sure. Commissioner Schlangen, Commissioner Johnson,
Here.
Commissioner Heinen, Commissioner Gopinski,
Here.
Commissioner Pop.
Here.
Thank you.
Approve or amend the agenda, Monty?
Sure, we have two items, Mr. Chair. The first is an agreement with SRF regarding park consulting services. If we could please add that as a third item under County Administrator at 9:20. The second is the proclamation regarding EMS Week for Commissioner Kapinski. I would just suggest we add that, that could be under the 9:40 comments by commissioners, right in that timeframe. And I think that's it. I know later in your agenda, we have the update from the airport authority and perhaps just suggesting a little flexibility based upon when those folks arrive. I believe we're gonna be here around 9:20, but just in case, we might want to be a little flexible there, so.
Yeah, we can adjust
Yep,
our agenda for that.
yes, sir. And that's all we have.
Mr. Chair, I'll move to approve the amended agenda.
And I'll second it.
Okay, got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? I'll call the question. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Passes. County board meetings are broadcasted live and video recorded on YouTube. Please refrain from speaking from the audience area and come to the podium so that the viewers can hear you. County board observes Robert's Rules of Order for its meeting, so please obtain the board's chair's consent before addressing the county board. Public comments are generally reserved for the open forum segment or public hearings. However, public comments on other agenda items may be allowed at the discretion of the board chair. As we begin today, please turn off your cell phones, turn them on vibrate, please. Thank you. Open forum. Anybody out there wishes to address the board? I know why the rest of the people are here, so great. Moving on, consent agenda item. What we would like to do with numbers 1 through 12.
Mr. Chair, I move for approval of items 1 through 12.
I'll second.
Got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? If not, I'll call the question. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Troy Heck, Sheriff, approve the proclamation of National Police Week in Benton County.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
Morning.
I'm here before you today. April and May are big months for showing appreciation for folks in our line of work. This would be the third proclamation I brought before you, and we're looking today to recognize the work that's done by the licensed staff.
Just checking the mic.
Aha. Now you can probably hear me better.
In my agenda.
So we're looking to have Benton County recognize National Police Week. This week recognizes the work done by the licensed peace officers in Benton County and all throughout the country. I don't think it's a surprise to anyone to hear me say that the last couple of years have been extraordinarily challenging in law enforcement in all aspects, and none more so, I think, than those that are out there on the front lines working in licensed capacities. Every year we pause during this week to honor not only those who are working currently in the profession and giving their all to keep their communities safe, but also on May 15th, we pause to honor those that have given their last full measure of devotion and given their life in the line of duty. And I'd be remiss if I didn't remind the board that Benton County has one member that died as a result of an accident in the line of duty. That would be Deputy Sheriff Frank McGregor, who died from a car accident in 1931. So we are here today looking to have the board recognize the fine work that's done by the men and women of the Benton County Sheriff's Office and all other law enforcement agencies in Minnesota and across the country with this proclamation.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Thank you, Sheriff. I will move approval of the board recognizing the men and women of Benton County Sheriff's Office and direct the chair to sign the proclamation.
I'll second it.
Go ahead.
Great. We got a motion and a second. Any further discussion on this?
Well, Mr. Chair, I think over the years, it's been well known that our law enforcement people really respond. Just on Friday, called one of your deputies to look at something up in my area, and he was right there, right now, and he did a very nice job of explaining to the person that made the complaint. So I was really happy with when he got that done.
I'm glad to hear that. Yeah, we have an excellent crew of people working for us. And I'll say that of all the law enforcement agencies in central Minnesota that we associate, they're a great group, and we're very grateful to the board for your continuing support and to the support we get from all of our citizens and the people we serve. It is truly humbling and amazing to know that there are people out there that appreciate the work we do.
Thank you and your department for all your hard work.
Thank you, Sheriff.
Greatly appreciated. Any further discussion? If not, I'll call the question. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
Thank you.
Troy.
Thanks, Sheriff.
Thank you.
Next, Roxanne, Land Services, approve the contract with all state companies for the cleanup.
All right, so we have some minor adjustments to the contract. All-state companies wasn't unable to perform based on the contract that we provided. And so fortunately, Landwehr Construction was able to come in and they actually provided us an estimate that was lower than their previous. So they had estimated at $69,000. They actually came in at $66,500. So we had to amend the contract. They have provided us a signed contract already. Given that this happened at about 8 a.m. yesterday morning. So we're fortunate that we have that signed contract with them. That does require us to have a new signed contract with Mr. Rinaldo, because it did reference all state companies in that contract. I have spoken with him and that is already in the mail, and he plans to sign that and return it. So the action that I would request today is that everything is contingent on Mr. Rinaldo returning that signed contract. And that we would authorize the board chair to sign as soon as that's returned. The good news is that Landwehr can get in there quicker than Allstate could. So they're hopeful that as long as everything comes in a timely manner, they can begin sometime the week of May 16th versus mid-June.
Nice.
Chair,
Commissioner Pop.
it's kind of ironic because I've had a lot of conversations with the person that runs the demolition from Landwehr. And he was asking me all these questions about, do you have this, and this? And I don't know, I didn't see the contract, so, I know he was worried about asbestos and covering, and I don't know what else. I heard multiple times about you sure you got this? He lives in Benton County, so he was concerned about it, so.
Sure.
I think that's a good move as long as we're covering it. They'll cover all their bases. That, they do a lot of that.
Well, and they started the process from the beginning too, though, so it was
Yeah,
kind of interesting. They were the highest bidder.
yeah. So with that, Mr. Chair, I'll approve, that we respect Roxanne's wishes and approve the contract on contingents of Mr. Ronaldo's signing.
I'll second for discussion.
Okay, we got a motion and a second. Commissioner Johnson.
First of all, very much in favor of getting this done. One thing that I have a small problem with is I opened up the news last night and the news is stating that they're expecting the Board of Commissioners to approve this change contract, which to my knowledge, I didn't know until we got here today. So I don't know how that happens or why that happens, but we ran into this issue once about a year ago. And for me personally, I don't appreciate the news talking about what we're gonna maybe be acting on before we do that. So that's my only comment on that. Otherwise, I've seconded it. I don't know if there's any other discussion.
I share the same concerns.
But on the other side, I will say, thank you for getting this moved ahead.
Yeah.
Because it is an eyesore and I drove by it again last few days and it's run its course.
And there's actually people fishing there too on that property.
Yeah.
I know I sent a text to Troy and
They moved,
not realizing that we have no authority over that.
they even moved the barriers to get down there.
They had to. There was 4 vehicles
Yeah.
pulled
Oh,
there.
really? Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, okay, any further discussion on this? If not, I'll call the question. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Then I will let you know as soon as we receive the signed contract from Mr. Ronaldo, and then we can sign both.
Okay, and that should have taken care of both of them then, right?
Yes,
Okay, great. So thank you.
thank you.
Thanks, Roxanne.
We're ahead of schedule, Monty.
Oh,
Well, it looks like folks from the airport are here.
Update on St. Cloud Regional Airport.
Who's gonna go first?
Yeah, who wants to go
Mayor
first?
Hunstiger. Okay.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
morning.
Morning, sir.
Apologize. Hopefully my voice will last through this. Bill saw me yesterday and I was barely talking. Came back a little bit. Monty, thank you for the invite along with the Commissioners. I appreciate the opportunity. I am one of your Benton County
You're not a
I'm
commissioner.
not a commissioner. County representatives on the airport authority that you appointed during COVID, I believe it was. So you never got to see me. I've never met Scott before and I've never met Beth. So it's a nice opportunity to come out here and say hello and so you can put a name and a face. The other representative that you appointed was John Coady. He's not able to be here today with us. Obviously, he's pretty busy with his job this time of year, so wonderful, wonderful person. He chairs our finance committee. And I know Brian will talk about that a little bit later, but very, very good. Again, thank you for the opportunity and thank you for appointing me to the board. I'm really enjoying it. I have a lot of other things I do, but this is one of the something out there, something different than I have never done before, so I appreciate that. The board has been working very hard for probably the last year already on making this transition. And as you all know, the transition was made on January 1st. The FAA approved it and it was right on schedule. Even with COVID, we had a few delays here and there and a few things, but it's gone really well. The airport continues to make progress on transitioning the employees, which was a big thing for us. I know we don't have a ton of employees like the city or a county would, but we want to make sure that they were taken care of. And we've tried to map over their, obviously their benefits, human resources things. And we've hired pro resources for payroll, human resources and health insurance to help us through that. And they're a really good resource for us for that. The goal with the employees is try to get them transitioned by July 1st of this year yet. So we're shooting towards that. I know we've worked on, Brian and his group have worked with the union on an MOU, a memo of understanding, so they understand. We want to make sure we communicate it to the employees, we keep the employees we have. That's really important, and they seem to be very comfortable with it. And I know that the two gentlemen from Sauk Rapids have probably worked with this union rep before. It's the same one we used at the city of Sauk Rapids on one of the, I think it's the FSME. So we're familiar with this person. And we're working on our HR policies also. As I said earlier, it's been very busy this last year. I feel we've accomplished a lot in a short period of time. Granted, we started way before January of this year, before it was taken, before the FAA approved it. But we've gotten a lot done. I'm really excited about the members that, not just that Benton County appointed, but the other counties and the city of St. Cloud. Very diverse, very knowledgeable in their areas, but you put us all together and you can all relate to this. We've all, and in the audience, we've all been on boards before where you've got one or two board members, especially when you have a 9-member board that, a couple people drive that board. Not so much here from what I've seen already. Everybody has an opinion and they're free to share it. And it doesn't matter if it contradicts what another person said. It's very a workable board. In this day and age, that's a plus. So I'm very happy with it. I'm really looking forward to working with them. Again, thank you for the opportunity to serve on the board, each and every one of you. I appreciate it. With COVID, kind of threw everybody for a loop, but hopefully I come out in my other role someday. Speak too. So with that, again, thank you very much. I'm going to turn it over to Brian Myers. He's our board chair, and I think you all know Brian too. So
Thank you.
Thank you.
thanks, Kurt. Very much.
Good morning.
Thank you
morning.
for the opportunity to be here. I would like to come back on at least an annual basis to report. I don't think we could have put together a better board. So I think the 3 counties and the city really did a great job of doing that. And everybody's looking at the whole of the airport. I mean, the reason we did this was it should be run like a business, and I think that's what's happening. So I think that feels really good. As chair, kind of the way my philosophy is, the chair is a facilitator of people. And so I try to make sure that everybody's voice is heard. And as Kurt said, I think that's been happening. John Quady chairs on governance, what we did is we adopted the MAX governance structure. The Minneapolis airport is one of the best airports in the world. And so we adopted basically their method of operating. So we've got 2 operating committees. One is the Operations Finance Committee that looks at day-to-day operations, and the other one is the Planning, Environmental, and Marketing side of it. So those 2 committees meet every month, and then the board has been meeting once a month. So remember, these are volunteer positions, so there is significant burden on the people that you put on this commission. But I think everybody's been cheerful in doing their duties. And John Quady, I'll tell you, you really appointed, in addition to Kurt, you really appointed a great commissioner there to represent Benton County. His experience in business, dealing with unions, all of that, are really awesome. And so I spend a lot of time. And then Jamie Bestian is the chair of the Capital Planning Committee, and she represents Sherburne County, and is just doing a great job. So there's 9 commissioners, 2 from each. Sherburne has myself and Jamie Bestian, and then the Stearns County has David Weirs, who's a pilot, and then when I was younger, I used to be better at names, so. Marshall Weems. Marshall Weems is a financial advisor, but he's in the National Guard and is a Black Hawk pilot. So of course, you know that the air base is there, so we've got that piece of it as well. And then we've got Ryan Daniels from the Metro Bus. He represents the city. And then King Banyan, he heads the EDA for St. Cloud. And so those are the 2 St. Cloud reps. Then there's 1 member at large, and that's Angie Olson. She used to be on the faculty at the aeronautics program at St. Cloud State, so a ton of knowledge there. And she works in the industry. So I think we really put together a great group, and I think you'd all be proud of them. The progress on the financials, we at Jan 1, we moved the assets over from the city. Right now, our operating balance is $321,500, and our capital balance is $3.2 million. So great financials. I think our timing was perfect to do this because of COVID money coming in. So we've got additional federal grants for operating, total approximating $3 million from the FAA. So that's coming in. And then as the part of the Build Back Better program, we have approximately $5 million coming over the next 5 years. So again, great timing to invest in that airport and get it to see its potential. Airport business is going well. Aircraft operations in 2021 hit a 14-year high. So, that's the flights going in and out of there. So a lot of people flying. So that's good. And the enplanements are at a 5-year high. So that's really positive. You might have seen, Allegiant took the summer off. That's normal. There is a pilot shortage. They need to service aircraft. So they're back for the fall, and they'll be coming back. There's the flights to Punta Gorda and Mesa. Those flights will be continuing. We have not heard any signals that they're pulling out or anything like that. I just wanted to address that. And then probably the thing I'm most excited about is the strategic planning. We were able to we had to postpone it because of COVID in January, but as soon as we could, we've begun the strategic planning process. So we're working with a firm, Mead and Hunt, to do the strategic planning for the airport, and they're meeting with different constituencies. You may have received an invite. Really encourage you to participate because we're getting all the stakeholder input, and then we'll come up with the strategic plan for the airport. So timing's perfect with that. Let's see. I think that's the main things I wanted to report. Again, Bill and staff, Bill Towle is here, so if you have any specific questions, they can be directed to him after me. But Bill has just been doing an awesome job, and I think the team there, there's 7 employees, they really are great public servants. I really am so proud of them. I've worked in, obviously, as you know, in the private sector forever. I put them up in the same category with anybody I've worked with, so very, very happy about that. Questions?
Mr. Chair? Brian, I know you'd know this more than anybody else. Do you know, was there ever a strategic plan done by the city for the airport? I know GSDC did a lot of work over the course of the years since I've been here.
We did the airport market study. We got state funding to do that, and that was to show, hey, this thing has potential. As part of the FAA requirements, there is strategic planning that has to happen. So yes, there's a long-term plan, and then there's a strategic plan that deals with shorter efforts. So, but I think the issue is, and I'll give you one example of something that we do need to deal with. So we've got the navionics and the lighting for the runway. It dates back to the 80s. Okay, so we've got one of the longest runways in the state besides Duluth and MSP at 7,500 feet. Well, when that airport got expanded, the lighting and avionics need to be expanded, and so that's about a $3 million issue. So what we're doing is we're actually lobbying the legislature either this year with excess funds or next year in the bonding bill for that funding. But that's the kind of thing, though, that when we're looking solely out for the airport and to maximize the economic impact and social impact of that, those are the kind of things that we're actively seeking. Most money for airports comes from the federal and state government. So we're very committed to doing that, on your behalf to make sure that, we do the right thing there.
I got one more question.
Yep.
So I know a couple people that have planes or whatever. And then there's a person that's on the Little Falls Airport Authority. And he always tells me about, St. Cloud is so high on their fuel because they have so many intakes. Are we doing something to adjust that we can, or are we stuck in this contract, or what?
Okay, so fuel is handled by the FBO, the fixed based operator, and so that agreement is a 20-year lease agreement. I forget how many years are left on it, but that's an issue that is controlled by the FBO as far as fuel prices. So, and there's and we hear that, that's in the strategic planning, you know, as.
I mean,
input.
you know, he flies, one of the people flies a fair amount, and he said that he'll run to Princeton or Little Falls to fuel up before he'll go to St. Cloud, because he's not paying that extra cost. Well, in my book, that needs to be looked at and adjusted somehow, because no matter if you're making 2 cents or 5 cents or 15
Right,
cents,
right.
you'd rather make that in St. Cloud than you would in Little Falls or
Yes.
Princeton.
So that's the type of thing that'll come out of the strategic planning process, and then we'll see
Okay.
what we can do. I mean, I can't make you a promise today, I'm
yeah.
not gonna do that.
You know, that-
It's on the radar,
okay, you know how I've been with this, and
No.
you know that this thing has gotta work.
Oh, totally.
Going forward, and I mean, I went on board because I feel we're gonna make it work.
Well, you're darn right we are.
Okay.
So, I mean, that is, yeah, thank you. So one other thing that we did, which City of St. Cloud had said they would never have parking fees there. And so we looked at that and we thought, you know, we had people parking there for 2-3 months at a time for free. And, I mean, that made no sense. So, we implemented paid parking in March. And one of the things you gotta remember is, if you don't have parking, you can't have more flights. It's that simple. So, by charging $5 a day, we got through March. That's the peak use of the airport. But we did raise $50,000 in parking fees in that month. So when you talk about things that can make a big
Yeah.
difference for the airport, there's an example, right? So in the study, you know, it projected 140,000, I think it was, you know, impact of that. Well, that has a big positive impact. So when you start running it that way, things can happen. The other thing, maybe you've heard, all our T hangars are full. We can't take any more jets because the big hangars are full. So that's something as part of the strategic planning that we really want to work on as well, to figure out ways, you know, are there ways to expand hangars? Now, we did get the mayor to do the $1 million of sewer and water last year in anticipation of the air authority being formed. So we have now the capacity to add big hangars that we didn't have before, because you can't do it without sewer and water. So, and there's some new models out there we're looking at to try and see, you know, what are the possibilities? T hangars are a problem because they don't cash flow. So we're trying to figure out, how do you wrestle with that? But those are the kinds of things that in the past, the city council certainly wasn't going to deal with, where the air authority is very focused on these issues of fuel, hangars, parking, other discount carriers. Please don't expect daily air service out of St. Cloud. We're too close to St. Cloud. But you look at the ability to attract people to fly from the North Metro. I mean, there's some huge opportunity there. And of course, the more employments you have, the more revenue, which then turns this into a more positive situation. So, other questions?
Mr. Chair, I know this is probably in your strategic planning. What is the conversations looking like for expanding maybe to Florida, a few more of the Allegiant flights?
Well, Punta Gorda is Florida, so,
Yep.
yeah, and Mesa. So, and I know I get feedback all the time, boy, we'd like other destinations, you know, and so, we will be, continuing to work on that. Courting airlines is a really fascinating sport, and Bill has a lot of experience in it. I've participated in it. Jamie Bestian did a lot of work on getting Allegiant here in the first place. So we're gearing all that up, but we want to tie it with the strategic plan. That's really the key. Good news, we're doing that right now. So by the end of the year, we'll have that in place, and then we can start, you know, and we don't want 10 priorities, we want 3 or 4 that we can really focus on and take this thing in a positive way. So, does that answer your question?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Any other questions from
Mr.
Mr.
Chair,
Meyer?
just a quick one, Brian. How many parking spots do you have at there?
Bill?
About 550.
Oh, okay.
550. And everyone was full and people were parking around the ring road. Now, a year ago, they were actually parking out on the county road before we implemented the pay parking. So, it did have an impact, but think about it in the future, we are gonna have to deal with parking, so.
Yeah.
Okay.
The good news is that is about 18 full days at 550 you know, that 50,000, so there's room for growth there too.
There is.
Yeah.
We're excited about that.
Yeah, that's great.
Well, and we had people that called and says, you know, I've got 3 cars in the lot. You know, are you gonna charge me? Yes.
Yep,
we
yes, we are.
$5 per car.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, great job.
So,
Great.
Thank you for the
well,
update.
Really want to thank you for your support, and we will do our best to be great guardians of the airport. So.
Great, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Toll, you have anything you want to add?
I don't, I'd be happy to answer any questions if you'd
Any
like.
questions for Mr. Toll?
I think so.
I think we got them.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Great, thank you guys for coming here. Appreciate it.
You bet.
Okay, discussion on playground installation in Benton Beach. Monty. Get it done.
Jeff is here too. Oh, and Greg is here. Right, Greg Bristol is here, and I think he wants to give the board some information. You know, how about I just turn over to Greg? Let's do that.
Hey, Greg, come on up.
Greg knows the whole story.
Even sat in the front row, speak to see me.
More paperwork.
Okay, ask one goes wrong.
Is this all one?
No, it's a couple there, but you're gonna need extra because you're gonna have to do something besides the paper. My name's Greg Bristol and I'm Langola Township Supervisor, but I'm also on the Board of Directors for the Parks.
Give one.
And I'd like to start out first with thanking Commissioner Heinen, because he's the one that was involved in this happening. But what has happened is Sauk Rapids, and correct me if I'm wrong, donated this playground equipment to our county. And our board decided that it would go down on Benton Beach. And the expense, there's a sheet on the back that gives an idea of all the parts and stuff that came with it when it was originally bought. And it's about $100,000, but today it'd probably be $150,000 to get that. So we accepted it, and it's in storage right now. And we would like to try to get this installed as fast as we can. There's room down there. The person who takes care of the parks has already figured out where everything's gonna go. We have a company that will install it. And of course, the installation is almost $30,000. So Langola, which I'm the township board, we made a decision last week that we will give up to $10,000 for part of that installation. Ed Pop and I went to the Ray Sportsman, and it looks like they will give us about $3,000. Yesterday, I talked to Steve Wallach, who's on the Lions Club in Rice, and presented him this information. He's gonna do a presentation on Thursday, and his comment to me, you will get money from us. So I don't know how much. And then I was gonna go to Graham to
Next
see if they
Monday
would, but I can't, Ed, so you might be the person that has to go.
okay.
I'll be out of town, to see if we can get some money from them. But I think we'll be almost close to half of it. And my thing today is what I want to express to the board, if there's some way that the county board could help us also with the installation, that would be great. I don't want this stuff to be sitting in some shed another year from now. With the pandemic finally clearing up a little bit and that type of thing, I could see this thing being used to an extreme for young people. And so my plea is to get some support, financial support if we can. And we'll probably also go to some other places to try to get some money too, but I don't want to, the gentleman or the company that's gonna put it in is ready to start tomorrow.
Good, that was my next question. When can we get this up and going?
He could have started last week, but that's why it was brought up to the commissioners here, to get it going, cause he's ready. Weather's finally nice, so Yeah. that's, I guess, all. Any questions at all?
Other than I'll speak for myself, we will find the money.
Yes.
And I want this up as soon as possible.
Thank you. And we thank the city of Sauk Rapids.
I want to thank the mayor. Kurt and I worked real hard together to figure out how we're gonna do this, and I appreciate that. The city of Sauk Rapids.
Gonna be used.
Yeah,
I appreciate your support and thanks for listening.
Mr. Pop, Commissioner Pop.
I see Jeff is here. Is that company ready to have at it?
Yeah, I talked to Greg yesterday, he said, he could start as soon as, we give him the thumbs up.
Okay.
He said the spring would be great, otherwise, he said it'd probably be best to wait till after Labor Day, if not soon.
Did he have any
No, get it.
time duration? How long it's gonna take him?
It's a matter of 3-4 days.
Oh, okay.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
Oh,
Get
wow.
it done. Let's
Get it
figure it
done.
out.
Monty, questions?
I guess if we, obviously we're short at this point, can the board identify a source of funds to cover the balance at this point? And I guess between now and the time we pay the bill, we might get some additional resources to reduce that, but it'd be kind of like a not to exceed number.
Mhm.
And it would come down if we get resources from Rice Lions or Soft Rapids Sportsmen.
Do you have some thoughts? Contingency fund, solid
Yes.
waste?
There's
Yes.
two places, I think, that there's always the board contingency, and there's also, we have resources in our CIP fund.
How much do we have allotted for this right now that's donated? The amount
Right
of
now,
money?
13 for sure,
13, you said, roughly?
Yeah.
Is,
That's
we've got
without Graham and the
13,000.
Lions.
We've got 13,000 pledged so far, so 815 is the balance at this point.
But is that with the wood chips?
That's
We'll
with
get-
sand, that's with sand.
Okay.
That's
Sand.
the cost offset sand, yep.
We
28,000.
can work. Jeff, do you want wood chips out there in that playground?
I'm fine either way.
Because we're gonna have a score grant meeting a week. I'm sure we can figure out how to get wood chips for this property.
I'd have to ask,
Wood chips were an extra $6,000 to $7,000.
wood chips, you know.
Okay.
I'm not sure that that would be a score or not, I don't know. Have you seen that happen?
Yes,
You have?
yes,
Okay.
Okay.
yes. But we probably have to have an application for that, right?
We need. to
Commissioner
apply
Gopinski?
We would have to, and it would have to be in very quickly.
Yeah,
Quarterly.
yeah. So we meet the 16th. Can you get your application in as soon as possible for the score grant, Jeff? Like today? Tomorrow?
I think you would have this week yet.
Yeah, this week. Otherwise, talk to Sahara.
So so it sounds like we think that wood chips are superior to sand. then?
I would, your opinion, Jeff?
I really don't have an opinion on it. I'm fine either way. I mean, Greg says he does a lot of sand.
Okay.
Wood chips are kind of,
Mr. Chair?
Commissioner Pop?
One thing that I had talked to somebody, and if you're doing sand, you might, there's a couple people that would probably, companies that we're looking at to donate it. The sand too. So, I don't know which is better, safer, or whatever. You see
I
both
have no
ways.
idea either. You know, I
Probably
just know,
preference.
yeah, I
Pardon?
just know a lot
Probably
of,
preference.
a lot
Yeah.
of people are putting wood chips in. Biodegradable and everything too, so.
The mothers probably prefer wood chips over sand.
Yeah, I would have
You know,
to
I,
agree.
I would assume though wood chips would have to be freshened at some point.
Every year.
Every year, yeah.
I would say too, the wood chips do have to be refreshing out for
Yep.
sand does.
Where sand would, yeah.
I'm fine either way.
Okay, Monty,
I don't have an opinion on it, but I
oh,
just-
I'm not worried about
There's an
that.
annual maintenance issue, of course,
We'll-
with wood chips, so.
We'll get that figured out. So what we're gonna need is a motion to authorize, yep,
Up
up to
to.
15,000.
Up to that, it could be reduced if we receive additional donations, so.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Source of funds would be either what, the board contingency or
Or CIP.
Correct.
Which one?
Contingency, my opinion.
In my preference, I'm hoping that we'll pay a large portion of that 15,000. That'll go back to the contingency fund.
Sure.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
We get recoupment, yeah, sure.
Yep. So I'm hoping we can recruit some of that money
Yep.
at least.
Well, we'll find out in the next couple of days, right, Craig?
Like next week.
Next week,
Next week
probably.
anyway. Great.
And like I submitted a request to board to get Soft Rapids Sportsmen, so who knows,
Mhm.
maybe they'll come through with a few thousand. So we'll see.
Yeah, I think we're in good shape, so.
And Benton Communications is another source. I found out the other day, they pretty much rubber stamp something that's less than a few thousand, so.
Okay, great.
Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Greg,
So we've got a motion and a second on this. Jeff,
Excuse
this-
me real quick, Mr. Chair. Greg, if you have a minute, would you hang tight? I've got a quick comment after we deal with this. Thank you. Sorry.
after this passes, you could notify the company and then get started?
Correct, yep.
Nice.
Told Greg I'd give him a call either way this afternoon to let him know.
Okay.
Good deal. Okay, any further discussion?
Do we just leave it up to Jeff to maybe do a little research on what is gonna be better and go with it? If it's gonna be wood chips, bring
Oh.
it to the score grant?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, any further discussion on this? If not, I'm gonna call the question. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes. Get her done.
All right, will do.
Get her
Thank you,
done.
Jeff.
Thanks, you guys.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Okay, Monty. Consider agreement with SRF to provide grant application services for the Park Commission?
Right, the Park Commission has had these discussions for quite some time with SRF. And the big picture here is SRF will assist the Park Commission over what could be a long period of time to identify projects at Bend the River and submit applications to the Greater Minnesota Parks and Trails Commission for legacy grants. And the projects have already been identified when the Bend the River Master Plan was updated a little over a year ago. So it's nice, they've already got a nice big basket of projects, but now you really need to prioritize them and develop cost estimates for what it's gonna take to do them, and then submit grant applications to the Greater Minnesota Parks and Trails Commission. I think one reason why the Park Commission favored SRF is because the primary consultant with them is a gentleman named Paul Schrader. And we worked with Paul Schrader about 10 years ago when he was with Westwood for this very kind of project. He assisted us in applying for a legacy grant where we got it, about $280,000. And that was used to build the river overlooks and the bathrooms and some more trails that bend the river. So I think the Park Commission, remembered that relationship and saw it was successful and wanted to go. He's now, of course, with SRF. So funding would come from, the board put $10,000 into the park operating budget for '22. Another $5,000 would come out of park dedication funds, and to provide $15,000 for these services. One thing it's important to note, and that is this encompasses identifying, prioritizing projects, doing cost estimates, and applying for grants. If we get grants and you need project management down the line, that's gonna be additional, and of course, there most likely will be matching costs for legacy grants. So this is really kind of the first step. So I wouldn't want to lead you to believe that, this is the only cost we would incur ever for projects out there. There could be additional costs down the line if in fact the county is awarded legacy grants. So I think that's it. Questions?
Any questions by the board? What would we like to do with this? I'll make a motion to approve the agreement with SRF to provide consulting services to the Park Commission, including project identification and prioritization and grant application development and submittal not to exceed 15,000.
I'll second that.
Got a motion and a second. Any further discussion on this? If not, I'll call the question. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries.
One last thing, Mr. Chair, is when you reach comments about commissioners, I would really like the opportunity to address the issue raised by Commissioner Johnson about the news issue. There's a lot to that story and a lot of facts I think that really should be discussed today.
Right.
So I'd like the opportunity to respond to that when you get to commissioner comments.
Okay,
Thank you.
Okay, with that, I'll turn it over to our Human Services Board Chair, Commissioner Johnson.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair. And before we move into that, if I could just take a moment of the board's time and the public's time, I'd like to make a correction to a statement I made at the last board meeting in regards to Watab Township being in favor of the Planning Commission's review of the restructure or the rezoning request, excuse me. And I mistakenly said that WATAB was in support of that, and so I want to publicly say that that was incorrect. Offer my apologies to Bill Little, who was here from WATAB. Greg, thank you for staying. I know you were here also, and we spoke on the phone, and I spoke with Bill, and so everything's fine that way. I just wanted to make a public correction. That was not my intent to say that for any reason. It was just it was a misspeak on my part, so I just want to offer that to you guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we'll move into our Human Services Board. We'll call that to order. Is there any changes or amendments to our agenda?
I wanted one update
Okay,
at the end.
sure. Right.
Under 3.
Under item, well, that's consent agenda, so maybe it'll be a separate item then?
Yes.
Update from Bob.
Okay. Move to approve the agenda, Mr. Chair.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve our agenda as presented. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, carried. Move on to consent agenda. What are your wishes with items 1 and 2?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion to approve consent agenda items 1 and 2. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, that's carried. Mr. Cornelius, you have an update?
One update, I wanted to, we have a Human Services cow on June 6th. I would like to ask the board to consider moving that from 10 to 12 to 9 to 11 due to the need for Michelle to participate in that. We're gonna be doing some tobacco ordinance updates. And it would be good for Michelle to be here as well as Troy to participate in that. And Michelle's got some court functions she has to do at 10:30. So I would ask the board to consider moving our cow to 9 to 11 versus 10 to 12 on the 6th.
Members, consensus with that?
Yep, I'm
It's
good.
better.
Yeah. Earlier.
Earlier the better.
Yeah, that's what I thought
Keep
right
that
away.
9 to 11 then on June 6th.
That's all I
Got
had unless
consensus
there's
on
any
that. Okay.
questions.
Members, any questions for Bob? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Anything else? We'll adjourn our Human Services Board and I'll turn it back over to the board chair.
Thank you. We'll reconvene our regular board meeting. Next on the agenda, commissioner meeting updates. Commissioner Pop?
I did too.
I had that 9 already.
I
The
had
only
that
thing of
At 9 too.
real importance that I had was we had, just a quick comment, we had the library final audit. Everything's good there. We did have a little larger carryover than what they anticipated at the beginning, so we'll have, and a part of it was due to employee stuff, so that all went really well. And then we had the last Thursday night after, we had the one water, one plan for the Rum River. And this just gets more and more exciting every time you go there. We had the lower Rum River, it includes the city of Anoka. And they came with all these plans about, they don't want this, they don't want the DNR involved, and they had, with the dam, I don't know, something with the dam down there, I don't know much about it. Anyway, we overrode them and we threw it, we said, nope, this is the plan we're gonna adopt, and with the DNR's input to that. And then we found out that you cannot have an executive committee, or executive committee doing the final, where your money's gonna go. It's gonna have to be, so this is gonna be ongoing, even after the plan is done and everything like this. You're gonna have to continue to have people represented on this board to do projects as they come forth, to recommend them. I have some notes here of other things that were, they're getting $2 million for 2 years. 50% of that is gonna go to staff and program development. So that means 50% of $1 million is gonna go to staff and just to develop programs. That's not gonna go to any projects out there.
50%.
50%. So that's $500,000 a year, which seems like an awful lot to me. And then the fiscal agent is gonna be Isanti County, this one. You have to appoint a fiscal agent going forward. Now there's talk about who's gonna hold the insurance. Is every entity like Benton Soil and Water, Benton County gonna have to have insurance to cover these decisions? I mean, I wasn't a big fan of one water, one plan when it started. And then I thought, okay, get on board and we'll go with it because that's what it is. But as we get to the closing part of submitting the plan to the DNR and coming back and getting approval, I think on July 24th, I believe. I'm even back to where I was at the beginning. I'm not a big fan of this, the way it's gonna work. And we're gonna be involved in 3 of them on this, in this county. And granted, in the RUM, we have a very small portion, and we're probably never gonna get a project that's gonna favor Benton County, way down in that little corner. But we have to look at the Sartell and the St. Cloud part, where we have a large portion of the county involved in this. So, I hope that, going forward with the Mississippi St. Cloud, that Benton County holds firm and becomes the fiscal agent, and the county attorney, they were looking for a county attorney to be the lead attorney forever in this Rum River One plan. And I just said, I don't think I've talked to, Michelle's comments, and I don't think Michelle wants to take that on, I'm pretty sure. So they're looking at Kathleen Haney from Sherburne County. They were gonna ask her to start out with. Otherwise, you gotta have legal advice, or else you gotta go outside and hire it. And that's Bowser's telling you gotta do, so it's complicated. I mean, so Scott, you can know what you're getting into here.
Had a
as we
pretty
go
good
forward.
taste of it, yeah.
But yeah, so then were a couple of things. We started at 5 o'clock and we were still there at 10 minutes to 8 on that one. So, but we are getting close. We submitted it to Bowser. They have a 90-day input, 30-day input, and then they come back and accept a plan. Then it has to come back to our boards for final approval. And Michelle will get it first and then it will bring it to us, so. And that's all that I had.
Great. Next.
I can go.
Sure.
I've had quite a few meetings over the last, but I'll just highlight a few of them. The Central Minnesota Medical Board met, and as I've stated before, that we've been talking about this, the opioid settlement Benton County's getting and stuff like that, along with all of our region for this board. And it was, and this will be coming to the next board meeting, but we kind of all settled on asking our boards for 15% dedication of that board, of that money coming over the next 18 years, to help fund this board. It's gonna help in the long run. Benton County is probably mid-row of actual support, people like Stearns and Sherburne, obviously more people, but they're gonna have a significant fund of this over the years, so there'll be more detail, a lot of graphs and money and charts, but 15% of our opioid settlement, especially when a lot of it's going for naloxone and all the things that are coming out of this opioid settlement, so that'll come to you guys next month. The other thing is we had the BEP meeting. That was very good. The presentation by Amanda, and then Benton County Soil and Water on the Little Rock Lake was amazing. It was really cool. And then you drive by there and you're like, you automatically think it is cleaner just by driving by after you see what they provided. So, I'll say that I was one that was like, that was a waste of money as you drive by, until you actually see that presentation and hear from the DNR and everybody involved. It was very good. So I commend everybody on that. And then, my last one was I went to that 30-hour painful training. Honestly, it was the best training I've gotten in probably 15 years. I actually called Commissioner Heinen the first night and said, I'm not gonna come back, because it was that intense. But Wednesday through Saturday, we finished it and actually got a certificate, so, but it was, I was in there with a few other commissioners and attorneys and everything like that, so it was definitely, you were putting in your time and they went by every minute. So, but, nope, I thank the board for sending me to that, and I hung through it, so.
Anytime you have meetings like that with attorneys.
Yeah.
We're happy
it's
to
real
send you.
Interesting.
4 days from 8 to 5.
Wow.
And they were by the minute on breaks and lunch. So, that's all I got.
Jared, I got a question for you real quick. On the 15%, do you have a dollar amount that would come up to?
It's like 11,000 per year. The ones in our region are Benton, Cass, Crow Wing, Cannabic, Mille Lacs, Morrison, Pine, Stearns, Todd, Wadena, and Wright.
So that doesn't even come close to replacing the amount of funds that they were used to getting in the past, does it?
Well, basically, through year 5, it'll cash flow itself with not having any additional money
Okay.
to spend. That's if there's no government funds that come in, because it was funded by the seatbelt,
Yeah.
which are going away. We've all made it clear that even though we're designating this, that we're still going after state funding and everything like that. The only one that is not on board at this point is, I believe it's Cannabic. And it was just that we haven't heard from them on it.
I'm trying to recall that that's over 18 years that we get the funds. Is that equally? I'm trying to remember. Are we
No,
loaded up
it's
front?
front-loaded.
Front-loaded, yeah.
It's front-loaded, and the attorneys are going to work on some ways of putting that into a fund. So if it all comes in, we can move it over to a certain fund within the county and then just move that over every year.
Okay.
But we did make it clear that everybody's on board, that this is what we're pushing through to the counties. It started at 25 and potentially 30% at one point, so I think the 15% is very fair, and it still leaves 85% for other things.
So Jared, on your 11,000, was that just Benton counties or is that all?
That's just Benton counties.
So what, do you know what the total would be that they would get into that EMS?
Yeah, so every year it's basically 184,000.
Oh, so that's not so bad. That gives
Yeah.
them some money to work with.
Yeah, just the operating, and you'll get these graphs next.
Okay.
But our projected staffing costs and operational costs and everything is about 160,000 a year.
Okay.
So for the first 4 years, it basically pays, and then you got 20,000 into the good. But then year 5 is when it starts going over that. And we'll have to figure out something at that point. But this is a good fund for 18 years to help this board along.
Great.
All right, we just had a couple updates. We had our TRICAP executive board meeting. We reviewed the 2021 financial audit, approved some election of officers for the upcoming year. I believe Commissioner Phobie from Sherburne will be the chair. Steve Notch will continue to be treasurer. Just wanted to highlight a Benton County resident who got appointed to the board as a county consumer rep. His name is Jeff Wharton. I believe I have that right. He's from East St. Cloud, so he was appointed to the board to cover that position. And also their annual meeting is coming up May 19th, and that'll be at the Grands in Sartell. So, wanted to highlight quickly, last week, we had a good day of a broadband proposal meeting.
Not about that.
And received a lot of good information. I think it was a very successful day in learning how things are gonna work, so we've got a lot of items in front of us to discuss. Also went to the monthly Soil and Water Conservation District meeting. We spent the first part of the meeting actually with Michelle Meyer, and who I see is online with us today, but again, reviewing the JP items, all that kind of stuff. You've heard it all from Commissioner Pop. It's a lot of the same with the Mississippi project, so I'm not gonna get into that too much. Also was able to attend the Full Area Care monthly meeting here last Thursday, and just to highlight, if you're looking for a good meal Thursday, they have their pork chop fundraising dinner at Jack and Jim's Thursday evening from 4 to 7:30, so you can come down and support a great group there. That's all I have, thank you.
No chicken, just pork chop?
Just pork chops.
Okay.
But that's okay.
Thank you for catching that broadband. That's actually a pretty big deal we were in. That was another whole day.
Yeah, it certainly was. It was good though.
Okay, I too had a lot of meetings, but I'm only gonna highlight one of them. I sit on the Regional 3 Leadership Planning Board, and basically, we've got to update our planning, and we're working with Deed, and we're trying to figure out what Deed is gonna do with funding right now. It's still in the bill, and who knows where that's gonna go, grant process. Other than that, couple meetings with the city of Sauk Rapids. What else, Jared? Seemed like you and I were meetings together this whole month.
Yeah, we've had a few at Sauk
Had a
Rapids and,
lot of meetings.
yeah.
So. other
Good
than
ones,
that,
too.
They were good meetings. Yep, good outcomes. So other than that, that's all I've got. Commissioner concerns, comments by commissioners. I apologize. Commissioner Gopinski?
Yes, in our regional EMS board meeting, there was a proclamation that all the counties are moving forward to. It's a proclamation to declare the week of May 15th through May 21st Emergency Medical Services Week. So I thought it was appropriate to bring that forward to the board and see what the wishes of the board are.
Yes.
Mr. Chair, I make a motion that we approve a proclamation declaring May 15th to the 21st as Emergency Medical Service Week.
Second it.
Great, got a motion and a second. Any further discussion on that? If not, I'll call the question. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Great.
Thanks, Jared.
Anything else for
One more,
commissioners?
and I think, County Engineer Chris Bird, you probably know that Rice they received their grant for their trail.
Yeah, just in the last few days, received letter that they received
Yeah,
some
they
federal money.
prevailed after the third time, so that was pretty,
That's awesome.
yeah.
Yeah, so there'll be an agreement forthcoming between the county and city of Rice to handle those funds.
What were the dollars?
It was over $100,000 worth of federal money. And since they're a city under 5,000, the county has to be the fiscal agent for that. So we'll have some administration of that contract.
Deal.
Good deal.
Good news. Thank you.
Okay. Set committee of the holes, Monty.
Let's see, we've got, the AMC District 5 meeting is June 13th at 8 AM it's in Wright County at their new government center. So that's Monday, June 13th at 8 AM, and that usually goes until noon, and lunch is provided. Second, you're invited by the sheriff's office to they're called the DARE culmination ceremonies. And looks like, I'm seeing, let's see what we got here. Friday, May 20th at 1:30 at the Foley High School Auditorium. Friday, May 20th at 1:30, Foley High School Auditorium, the DARE culmination ceremonies. I thought there were several, because I had a whole bunch of these, and these are actually just, you can give each board member one of these invitations, thanks. And then I see Chris is here, and we were gonna talk about scheduling the spring road tour. Got some dates for us, Chris?
Yeah, I heard at our last work session that I think there was a desire by some at least to have a road tour. So I just thought we'd like to get that scheduled so I can reserve a van, which that's going to be a few weeks out maybe to reserve that.
Little van down by the ditch.
So where are we at? We're today the 3rd. I don't know, about a month out, first week in June.
We got that cow on the 6th.
Mm-hmm.
Board meeting on the 7th.
Yep.
What are we backed up Thursday the 2nd?
No.
All right.
Don't work for you.
No, I've got meetings that day.
What about the 14th?
Works for me if it works for the,
June 14th?
yeah.
So departure time from here, Chris?
8 o'clock?
8 o'clock, okay.
Does that work?
I have a tentative chick date that day, but
We almost made it.
yeah, you almost did. Let's put it in and I'll come and meet you if that's the day. That's fine.
Okay.
Chick date.
Chick day, that didn't sound.
It is what it is.
I like how you said that.
Well, is there a time?
That'd be for your chickens, right?
Way too early to know.
Okay.
Yeah, just I'd say do it and I'll work around it.
In the past, he's taken up pretty much, if we start at 8, it'll probably take up all the way till lunchtime, so.
Okay.
If that's okay.
Okay.
That's all we have.
Perfect.
Motion to set the cows, Mr. Chair.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Monty, did you have something you were gonna add?
Can you go ahead and vote on that? No, I don't have any more cows to add.
Okay, okay. If not, I'll call the question. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
It's all set.
Motion to adjourn.
Yep. Second. Got a motion and a
Second.
second. Any further discussion? We're adjourned, 10:02. Thank you. We'll just take a couple of minutes before we get into the ditch, please.
I wish that they had better, more.
And I'm not sure, the DARE program or something on May 20th, I'm not